Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, I wanted to come with a quick address to Dr. Ali Muhammad in respect and in peace and love. I love the brother. I respect you, man. And I'm glad to see that you're out here back teaching again after the tumble from the top rope, which I won't mention. You know what I mean? But I'm glad to see you back up on your feet. And glad to see you away from conspiracy and shit with the Kanika Jenkins case. God rest that sister soul and her life and her family. You know, their opinion about it and how they feel about it in their heart. But brother Ali, listen, brother. I'm not gonna be on this long, but I just got to say this, bro. Miniature logic does not count or qualify as scholarship, brother. Say it one more time. Miniature logic does not count or qualify as scholarship. Now, here's why I say that, Ali. You are among the Negroid community that refuses to operate in common sense as relates to Africa and what you are. You are one of the Aboriginal nuts, and you want to sell yourself, and you don't want to be who you really are. You want to be African. I mean, Arab. Excuse me. You want to be Arab, and you want to be Aboriginal, Mexican, post Spanish Inquisition Mexican. But check this out, brother. Watch how simple it is to debunk pseudo scholarship. Now, I'm not going to touch the whole of your lecture because Aunt and them dealt with that, but I've got to say this because I don't think this was said. I'm going to listen to the show again and make sure it was not said. But here's my point, and I want y'all to listen to me close. Anyone that tells you, anyone that tells you don't call yourself African and they live in America, they're a pseudo scholar that desires to give away their self identity. I'm going to say that one more time. If anyone ever comes to you in black skin and tells you don't identify with the word Africa or the term African and what it denotes, know this, that number one is a pseudo scholar. Number two, that particular person is trying to not identify with self. Most of those people tend to give away their nationality to the effery. Now, why am I saying that? Because you have a community of people that's sitting up talking about Scipio Africanus, and you got a whole community talking about the Afar and Ifri and all of that foolishness. But listen, I'm going to start right here, and I want you to take this down and mark it down. You're an American, and for all intents and purposes, the word American don't mean a goddamn thing as relates to history or your plight in America as an African American or an other. Why am I saying you're American? Because you definitely have a birth certificate. You definitely have a social security card and a number. You definitely have an ID and a driver's license. You definitely went to school and you learned all of the ways of America. And you definitely are an American by that particular construct. Stay with me, track with me. You're going to understand in a minute. If you're not around here saying, get rid of this social security card, get rid of this birth certificate, get rid of this driver's license, get rid of my income tax, get rid of my court dates and all of that shit. If you're not saying that, then you're American. I don't care if you name yourself Aboriginal and you make up all this pseudo ass paperwork that say, all right, I'm not that. I'm telling you, you live in America. and you have certain documents that make you an American, whether you like it or not. And when you go abroad, everybody around the world recognizes you as such, not necessarily the subcultural connection with what you identify with, or this made up Aboriginal ignorance, or this Arab foolishness that most of y'all Muslims want to acquiesce with. You are an American. The paperwork says it. You say it. You go and fill out your job applications, and you foolish Negroes that's out here want to work at Walmart. You check the box. You hold a social security card. You hold a driver's license. When they call you to jury duty, you have to go. You kill somebody, you go to an American prison. You're spending American money, but you're not American. Some of y'all niggas still say, I pledge allegiance to the flag, but you're not American. The very points that I'm making concerning you in America is the same point that makes you identify with that which is the term African and the people which are African. Those multiplicitous, just a tapestry of genetic African. Now watch this. We all know about Scipio, Africanus, and we all know about all of the other foolishness and the Ifri and the Afar and all of the other colloquialisms. But what's the reality? The reality is just as you are an American today, by document, by definition, and by habitation, you are that. Let's not be silly enough to ignore that as it relates to ourselves in our African story. I asked a brother one time this. I said, if the word Africa never existed, would it change the geographical positioning of that place, that continent? I said to a brother one time, I said, if you call Africa toilet paper, toothbrush, baking soda, would that change where that continent is? Would that change what happened on that continent as relates to Timbuktu, as relates to the Songhai Empire, as relates to all of the Muslim empires that preceded the Songhai? Does that change anything that happened in North Africa? Does that change any goddamn thing? Because you call it toothpaste. No, that's called miniature logic. And that's a person that wants to fuck your head up because they want to just talk in circles to get you away from an absolute truth. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's what you identify with. So Ali Muhammad thinks he's an Arab. He thinks he's an Aboriginal post-Spanish Inquisition Mexican. But you're not that, brother. Your sub-Saharan DNA comes from that continent, whether you call it Africa or call it toothpaste. And you didn't let the Arabs and all of these nut-ass people fuck your head up to the point that you would ignore the absolute truth about that. If you call it cheeseburger, it's still the same continent, and you're still the same people, eclectic and amalgamated and all. Now let me get to the bigger point. Let's wind it up. When you have pseudo scholars that walk around in the construct of them being American and they accept that by document and confession, you sitting up in court. You're an American. Huh? You're sitting up paying taxes. You're an American. You're spending American dollars. You're an American. But again, for all intents and purposes, the word American don't mean a goddamn thing other than a mixed group of people, mixed nationalities, potpourri. That doesn't change any goddamn thing. You could call America Turkey. It doesn't change it. You're still a part of that. And I'm telling you, that African genetic is still in your veins. Now, let's tell the truth about Africa. Africa has never been unified. Africa today even is split up by countries. Never been unified spiritually, never been unified morally, never been unified politically. but it's one continent. Never forget that. One continent that spit out a bunch of different types of the same person. Believe that. All melanated and hue melanated beings. And most of you were under what is called the Songhai Empire before you got here. The Songhai Empire is what ridiculously brainwashed Ali Muhammad, thinking he's a Muslim, thinking he's an Arab. But even in the Songhai Empire, those people understood the construct that I'm telling you right now. Yes, you have a large nationality construct that has to deal with those that conquer and take over kingdoms and claim those things for themselves. And they rule over people with an existing subculture. When I say to you, Songhai Empire was an Islamic empire, that does not mean you, as a West African that came on the transatlantic slave trade, have to submit to that and become that. No, all I'm saying is know your history. Know that you came out of an Islamic empire called Songhai. Layman's term, Negro land. But does that make you a Muslim? No. Does living in America make you a Christian? No. It is simply the major macro construct that you don't have to identify with, but you are because you live in. Same as with Africa. Call it tomato, tomato, cheeseburger, baking soda. It doesn't change the fact that that's where you come from. You didn't come from Mexico, Ali. You're not a Spanish Inquisition Mexican, dude. You're not an Olmec either, because the Olmec came from that place that y'all keep on trying to tell everybody you're not from. I will tear your ass up about this on a debate any day. Because as long as you hold an American driver's license, you pay taxes, you go to court, and you do jury duty, as long as you spending that American dollar, got a birth certificate, an ID, and a social security card, you can't come with that pseudo bullshit and try to apply what you live as in America. Then you want to try to tell people don't identify with that same construct in Africa. Dude, you came from there. And you can call it whatever you want. It don't change nothing. You're not an Arab. Although you came up, your genetic in Songhai Empire under Arab rule. You're not a Mexican. Although there were black and Moorish philosophers here in North America with the Native American, the dark Native American that came from over there. You're not a goddamn Mexican, no matter how long we've been on this continent. Your genetics started in what is called today Africa. Now, one more time, let me review it just quickly. Only pseudo scholars come to you and tell you don't identify with a continent that birthed you because of oppression or because of governmental, oppression or people taking over a particular government and a particular landmass and changing things. Listen, don't let nobody pseudo scholar you into losing your history and your self-identification with absolute truth. When you look at that landmass called Africa, I don't care what you call it. You can call it these black glasses. It still produced every genetic known to man. It still is the place where your sub-Saharan DNA emits from. And even through conquering, through Islam. Brother, it is still one continent. No matter how many countries in it, it is still one continent. No matter how bad Ethiopia and Eritrea are fucked up with social engineering and they split like North Carolina and South Carolina. Don't matter. It's still one continent that produced your people. And if you're foolish enough in 2018 to come against that with pseudo bullshit and you got an ID in your hand calling yourself an American when that don't mean a goddamn thing, you need to stop that because it's embarrassing as a black man that you want to be a Mexican, that you want to be an Arab, and you hate the landmass that produced you. Now, I'll talk about this a little bit more later on if y'all want me to. But this is common sense, and this is very, very cut to the chase, killer pseudo rebuttal. Kills the pseudo arguments. One more time. What does it matter if I call Africa cheeseburger or not? That's where you're from, dummy. What does it matter if I call America Donald Trump's playpen or not? This is the place that you're under a subcultural and national rubric. And you have that name, American. And it don't mean a goddamn thing but a potpourri. You're that. You're that.